Hi everyone, this is Patrick Palucci of Slooh Space Camera. Thank you for joining us today for our presentation of the total solar eclipse live from Australia. We will be providing live feeds from that site. We actually have our own broadcast team on site north of Cairns, Australia, in a town called Port Douglas. With us today we have Slooh Outreach Coordinator and Telescope Engineer Paul Cox. He's there in our middle feed. We'll also be attempting to pull feeds from other locations to give you guys the best looks possible. We will also be providing you some unique looks in the Google Plus Hangout as much as possible. Paul's going to be doing some of this. I'm going to click one over. Here's one from NASA that you can see live right now. I thought we'd just bring that in quickly to give you an idea of the different types of feeds that we'll be showing you. Dr. Lucy Green, who is a solar researcher out of the UK. Anyone in the UK probably recognize Dr. Green from being on some of the BBC shows that she's on. And we also have a feed coming out of New Zealand from, I guess, Dave Gregg, who's helping us as well. And that, I believe, Paul, is just going to be a partial type event that we'll see at later in the event, right? Right? Is that correct?
Yep.
What people will be doing is they'll be taking observations and very, very quick observations. This is the best thing about viewing eclipses. From the ground, you can have a really good telescope, but also a really good computer that takes very fast images, very large images. That's actually something that's quite difficult to do from space.
And of course, don't forget, we've got that live video coming in from New Zealand. The guys down there are going to be sharing that with us for the duration of the partial eclipse that they're going to be seeing. And that starts in about 5 minutes time. So if you keep an eye in the Hangout on that kind of greenish, bluish looking sun, that's because it's a filtered image. In about 5 minutes time, we should start seeing the partial phase start there as well. Now that's a video feed.
If you have questions in the Slooh conversation box,
Pat,
please,
could I just interrupt a sec?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Can I just interrupt a sec? Can you make the New Zealand feed the live one in the Hangout? Because the partial eclipse is just starting there. You can just see on the left-hand limb of the sun, the left-hand side of the sun, that's a live video feed of the partial eclipse just starting.
Fantastic. I should also say that one of the satellites I used, the Hinaday one that I've talked about before, Japanese satellite, we have a telescope on board, that sees 2 eclipses from space, and that's now starting to see its first of the 2 eclipses. So things are starting to pick up now. Yeah,
guys, we're actually we're pulling another feed right now to help while we get clear skies where Bob's at. And we got another feed coming in, it looks like, from Paul, is managing it right now. So we can give you, we have one from New Zealand, which is going to be more of a partial event, but we are showing you another event right now through the panel, but you can see of the event itself happening. So as we're moving in here, we're getting a live feed now that Paul's sharing in as well. We also have a feed coming in from New Zealand in the Hangout that we're doing. Matt is still working on his feed coming in live to Slooh's homepage as we get started here. So, Dr. Green, what are we looking at right now as you see the feed in the Hangout? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I can see the feed in New Zealand progressing. I think that's still the live feed there. So a tiny little bite taken out of the sun there. And then from Australia, looking much, much more advanced.
Dr. Green, here we go. We're looking at it right now. This is a feed that's coming in. But Paul, where's this feed located? Do you know?
It will be somewhere within that very short band in and around Cairns.
But look, the sun is getting smaller and smaller, thinner and thinner crescent here, so I'm waiting for the moment when the filter gets whipped off, and I'm sure everyone on the beaches in Australia is now making their judgment call as well. They'll be looking at the sun still through their filters, and they'll be wanting to know the same. When is it that we can take the filter off and look at the sun without any level of protection? So it'll be interesting to see if the diamond ring actually is seen here as well through the filter.
Yes, of course. That's a really important bit of that, because that's kind of halfway between wanting the filter and not wanting the filter. So that's going to be quite a judgment call.
Yeah.
So what is going? Where's the rest of the sun? I mean, I'm trying to understand what's going on here. Is it just? Maybe you can help us understand what's going on right now.
Yeah. So it's being blocked out by the moon, and so there's still a little bit of the moon that's overhanging on the other side of the sun, as it were. And in a matter of seconds now, the moon will perfectly fit over the disk of the sun in the sky. So they match very, very closely during a total solar eclipse. Afterwards, we can talk about different kinds of eclipses. But now we're just seeing the final seconds before the moon perfectly fits over the sun. So that nothing else of the sun can be seen now, just that tiny, tiny, thin wedge, and I can see it going. I can see it going.
Right. It's just, there it goes.
It's a few pixels, a few pixels.
Is this technically totality happening right now?
There it's gone. Yes. So
there it is.
You see the diamond ring. So this was
wow,
the
there's
diamond
a
ring that I was
diamond
referring to. Absolutely perfect timing.
Stunning.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Nice.
And there it goes. Fantastic. So now we're in totality. We have 2 minutes to make the most of this and look at the structures. And you can see already these linear structures coming away from the sun's disk. So right now the moon is perfectly fitting over what we call the photosphere, the bright disk of light of the sun. And we're seeing the very faint atmosphere of the sun, which is dominated by charged particles and magnetic fields that we don't normally get to see with our eyes because the photosphere is so light. That is beautiful.
That is cool. So we're
and
looking
that diamond ring effect that we saw, Lucy, that is the last vestige of light that we can see going through a valley, isn't it? In the valleys and mountains on the limb of the moon.
That's right. So the moon has a lumpy surface. It has impact craters and valleys. It has flat regions and high regions. And so you're right, it's not a perfect circular disk in the sky, and bits of sun's light can come through those valleys just at the very seconds before totality. That is.
And we're going to see it again, are we, at the end of totality?
Yes, very good point. So then in a minute and a half's time, the reverse will happen of what we've just seen previously. So the diamond ring will appear the other side and the moon will start to slip off, and then we'll see the crescent sun that will get bigger and bigger and bigger until the moon is gone in about an hour's time.
Wow.
Pat, I've just had a request. If you could make the feed full screen. I don't know whether it's still reverting back to us when we talk, but if you could just make that the full screen in the Hangout if possible. Yeah,
it should be. I mean, I have it selected, so it should be. In my viewer, it is. So, is it? Okay. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing it otherwise?
No, I see the Hangout in the same way that you do. That was just a message that I had through on Skype from somebody. But look, over to you, Lucy.
Oh, and there it is. Oh, that was just too quick, wasn't it? That was far.
Oh man, there it goes. Oh my gosh.
And bang, they've got the filter back on the telescope immediately. So that's some superb work down there. It really is.
Absolutely. The photosphere is 1,000,000 times brighter than the faint corona, the faint atmosphere that we were just looking at. So you have to put your filter on. You have to put it on so that you don't damage your eyes if you're looking at the sun directly, and you have to put it on so that you can get safe images as well. You don't damage your camera and you don't overwhelm the camera with light and ruin your images. But my goodness, that was through so quickly.
It is.
So it'll be good later on to go back and have a look at some of those pictures and talk.
All right, guys. Well, Bob, we appreciate you coming on live from Port Douglas. What an amazing event for sure. Dr. Green, stay on with us. We're going to be broadcasting for at least another hour or so. I'm going to be inviting in some friends from space.com shortly. They're going to be joining us, and we're going to talk about post-eclipse coverage. We're also going to show you live feeds from New Zealand as well while we enjoy this special day out from Australia and New Zealand, and part of the partial eclipse that's going on as well.
Yeah, Cairns is pretty cloudy there on the beach there. But we've actually, it was just as you said, and we've got some live images from New Zealand. Some cloud went over the live video feed that Dave's provided us down there at the Tauranga Observatory. So don't say that again, all right? Because they did have perfectly blue sky down there today. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, don't forget, it's not going to be a total eclipse there. I'm showing a little simulation at the moment in the Hangout, and that's because they're outside of the path of totality. That very narrow, for this eclipse, it varies depending upon which eclipse, where it is. It's 80 miles wide, and you have to be within that path to see a total eclipse. And no one else is going to see that on this eclipse unless they're in a ship, because that doesn't make landfall again. But for everybody down there on the north coast, on the North Island of New Zealand, they're seeing an 80% partial eclipse, and that's what we're looking at. That's a live video streamed direct from our friends down there at the observatory. And I think Dave's got a bundle of visitors down there, and we should get Dave on a little bit later, Pat, because there was something we were talking about the other day. You know, we've got the end of the world coming up in about a month's time. By the way, anybody who believes that, please give me your money now, because you won't need it after. I'll give you my bank details to make the transfer later. But anyway, what Dave and I were talking about is this is a wonderful opportunity to dispel these rumors of this mysterious planet X, Nibiru, which people are saying hides behind the sun. Now, we didn't see it, did we? If you think, if it was behind the sun, or just off to one side, while we were in the shadow of totality, it would have been fully illuminated, so we would have seen it. So we've seen live images from, these are private people. These are not kind of government agencies that the conspiracy theorists say they doctored the video feeds and stuff like that. We've seen it with our own eyes. There was nothing in or around the proximity of the sun that doesn't belong there today. So, right. And it still looks like they've got some fabulous conditions down there. I'm not sure whether that's a bit of haze or a bit of light cloud that they've got there. But don't forget, everybody who's watching, from the feed we're looking at there in Hangout, this is a live video feed from the North Island of New Zealand, our friends down at Tauranga, who have been watching the total eclipse coverage that we've been doing there, listening to the show. So hi to everybody down there. I know they put on a really good show and a really cool event for the public to come join them down there. And we're watching a live video from one of their telescopes at the observatory. So thank you very much to everybody down there who's involved. But also, you just said that the path of totality is racing across the Pacific right now. And I'm just sharing into the Hangout now an animation of that. And it's going to be, let's have a look at the timing. For the folks down in New Zealand at the Tauranga, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Dave, Tauranga Observatory in New Zealand, the maximum eclipse is at 21:30, so that's in another 19 minutes time. So in this animation that I'm showing, I'll just start it off again actually. So here it is, and it's this kind of green line that goes across the middle of the screen. That's the path of totality, so you have to be within that zone to be able to see a total eclipse. If you're within this red bounded area, then you're going to see a partial eclipse, and the closer you are to the path of totality, the greater the eclipse. So here, if I just pause it there, that's going to be approximately the time of greatest eclipse for everybody watching down in New Zealand.
The New Zealand feed, is that going to be an annular, or is that just a partial?
No, it's a partial, and that is because they're fairly close to that path of totality that I showed you. It's going to be at 80%, so 80% of the solar disk is going to be covered. We have got Dave down in New Zealand. We can invite him in, and maybe you can chat with him. And Lucy, maybe talk to Dave, who's down in New Zealand at their Astronomy Society. It would be good, Dave, if you're listening, if you can join us now, and tell us a little bit about actually, you know, the society down there and how the public are enjoying the event down there. It looks like you've had some beautiful clear skies.
Yes, hi Paul. We're having a great day here. We've got quite a few people here. We've got the views on the big screen, and we've got another telescope set up outside. We've got a telescope inside, of course, with the roof open, and yeah, we're getting great views. We had a lot of rain last night, and but fortunately this morning it was mostly clear blue skies, so we've been very lucky.
Yeah,
fantastic.
These are great shots, Dave. I really appreciate you participating in the event today. It's really nice for you guys to do that and take the time out. So tell us more of, in the area that you're doing this from, is the weather down there typically pretty nice, or is it a rare that you're getting clear skies like this?
No, we've actually got very good weather here, especially this location, Tauranga, is known for its good climate and its good weather. So yeah, it's a good place to be. Yeah, we're actually coming up to maximum eclipse in 6 minutes. So
yeah, this is
not
awesome.
Too far away.
So we're watching another part of this total eclipse, but we're doing it live from New Zealand, actually. It's a different, perhaps Lucy can kind of explain what's happening here as opposed to what we already saw with totality as we move through this.
Yeah, so Dave, we must be very close to the maximum phase of your partial eclipse in New Zealand now. So what we're seeing is a partial here because New Zealand is located off the line of totality. So the shadow that you can see moving on the Slooh main page now, you see the dark shadow racing across the ocean, and New Zealand is shifted away from that shadow. So that even though they see the moon moving in front of the sun, they don't see it fully blocking out the disk of the sun. But still an amazing experience to see. I've seen partial eclipses before, and they are mesmerizing to see. So are we at maximum eclipse now?
Yeah, we are
3 minutes.
About 3 minutes away from maximum eclipse. Yeah.
And are you taking images of the eclipse? Have you seen any sunspots, for example?
I haven't had a chance to have a look myself. I've been sitting in front of the computer and just using the solar viewers over my eyes. But I am recording on the cameras as we're doing this, so I'll be able to check later on.
So we had a spectacular view from Australia of the of totality, and we saw some wonderful streamers that were completely engulfing the disk of the moon, and it was a really spectacular view. And I've come to think about these streamers in the sun's atmosphere as being a bit like chimneys, because they enable gases in the sun's atmosphere to escape into the solar system. And one of my colleagues has been doing some work on that, and she's been looking at these shapes in the magnetic fields of these streamer structures and looking at how gases that should be trapped close to the surface of the sun, how they can be released into space by finding sort of openings in the magnetic fields in these radial structures that stretch out into the solar system. So that's, even though we can't see it during the partial phase of the eclipse, during totality that gets revealed to us. But of course, they're still there, and they're still channeling charged gases out into the solar system, all the way out to the edge of the solar system, and indeed flowing over the Earth as well. So as we're sat here watching this solar eclipse happen, we're also in the path of this wind that's flowing out from the sun. We have a very real and direct connection with the sun.
Dave, how many people have you got down at the observatory? Sorry, yes, you're at maximum. Sorry, that's an important thing.
Yes.
Not to miss.
Yes, actually, we're about 1 minute away. We're about 1 minute away, but pretty close now. And I can tell you also that when I look through the solar viewer directly with my eyes, the crescent of the sun is actually much thinner than what we're seeing in our feed. It's just because of the camera, and it's just sort of blurring a little bit. So it actually looks quite amazing from here. We do have, I'm told, 80 to 100 people here, so we've got a good turnout.
Yeah, we're at maximum down in New Zealand, and actually Lucy was asking about sunspots, and actually I can see 3 very distinct groups of sunspots on the sun at the moment on the Cairns image. Dave said he could only join us for 10 minutes. I wonder whether Dave can just tell us. He's been so kind in giving us this live feed. Maybe, Dave, you just want to share with us, for people local to you in New Zealand, I think you have monthly sessions for the public to come along? Maybe you can just give people a little bit of general information about anybody in New Zealand who wants to get interested in astronomy.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Paul. We have meetings here at the Astronomical Society every second and fourth Tuesday. So from 7:30 in the evening, what we normally do is we'll watch a video item for the first part, depending what time of the year it is, of course, and then after that we'll go out, if we've got clear skies, we'll do some viewing through our Meade 14-inch telescope.
Dave, just to thank you tremendously for providing this live feed. When I saw your first email to me this morning, Dave got up this morning in New Zealand and emailed me straight away and said, I've woken up to clear blue skies. And I'll tell you, when we were looking at the forecast for Australia, that was absolute music to our ears to know that we've got that. And I know the amount of effort that it takes, Dave, to set these things up. So, you know, kudos to all of you down there and the Society. And thank you very much for giving us our live feed, which we'll continue to enjoy for just over another hour, I believe.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. I would add, too, that when we were looking at the weather last night, we had heavy rain. It looked almost like thunderstorms were approaching last evening, so it was quite a relief to wake up to clear skies.
And for us too. So thank you very much, Dave, and please thank the other guys down at the Society for allowing all of this to happen. I know you do sterling work down there at the Tauranga Astronomical Society in New Zealand.